cable ties for cable management, Arctic Silver 5 thermal compound, power supply unit from Big White with 630 watts, the DVD-ROM player to install my operating system, which is Windows 7, 2 times of 2 gigs 8 gigabytes DDR3 RAM with 2400 megahertz. It is G.Skill Ares. An SSD with 250 gigabytes. This is for the operating system. My i7-4790k with 4 times of 4.4 gigahertz in boost clock. The CPU cooler from Be Quiet, it's a DarkRockPro3 for 250 watts TDP. The motherboard MSI Z97 Gaming 7. And the graphics cards from Zotac, it's a Zotac AMP Extreme Core Edition GeForce GTX970, and this is everything together. Now let's open the mainboard and let's see what's inside the box. Here's the mainboard itself and some additional cables and CD-ROMs and manuals. Now we can see here all the options we have on this mainboard, and looks kind of great with that black and red overlay. Many SATA connectors, and this is the back side. This is the bottom side. Now let's open the i7-4790k, which is surprisingly in a very cheap package, but it was delivered safely. Now let's install it on the mainboard. Just place it on the socket 1150. Now let's get to the installing of 2 times of 8 gigs. Very easy on dual channel. Now to the CPU cooler from Be Quiet. It's a massive CPU cooler, DarkRockPro3. Here are the attachments, the spare parts, and this is the back plate of the CPU cooler, and we are using those center holes because we are using a Intel socket. Now let's try to flip it over without losing the screws. And then we place it on the package which was the mainboard delivered with. And here we can see those 4 screws which just appears. And those plastic rings is used to make those screws in place so they can't escape anywhere. We are repeating this with all 4 screws. Now those 2 are for the Intel socket and the above one are for AM sockets. So since we are using the i7-4790k, we are using the Intel sockets, and here are the screws and washers in order to fix it on the CPU cooler and in order to fix it later on the mainboard. Now place those 2 sockets with the 4 screws which are provided with it in order to fix it to the CPU cooler. And as you can see here, we have here 3 holes, inner, center and outside, and we are using the middle hole because we are using that Intel socket. And first we are taking this one screw and the washer, and we are placing the screw here from above and fix it. You can see that the screw can't move here because there is a higher and lower level, and the screw gets fixed by itself when you turn down the washer, and we are repeating this with all 4 screws. There are several ways to fix those screws. You can use your fingers, you can just hold the screw above and turn it down from below. Now this is the last screw. As you can see, I'm holding down the washer from below and turn the screw from above, and at the end I just turn down the washer from below and it's totally fixed and it can't move anymore. And this is the terminal compounds Arctic Silver 5. And then place the CPU cooler and give attention for the airflow. And now this is staying on those 4 screws on the mainboard, and as you can see there is a terminal compound in the middle, and we will now screw down those 4 screws cross over. While doing this, the terminal compound gets spreaded all over the CPU. Now this is one tricky part here. We have to flip over the mainboard with the CPU cooler. The better way to do this is screwing down the mainboard into the case, connect the power supply unit to the mainboard, and then you can fix the CPU cooler much easier. That turned out later to be a better way. Now you can see we are going here crossover with the screw, and the terminal compound while doing this gets spreaded evenly on the CPU. And go always over cross, so you are then on the safe side. Now it's everything fixed and screwed down. Now we can flip the mainboard with the CPU cooler. CPU cooler is connected to the mainboard. Here's again a zoomed picture, and you can now see there's no air between CPU cooler and CPU, and the terminal compounds between is evenly spreaded on the CPU. And this is how it looks like. The direction of the airflow is also correct. And now let's get to the case. It's a Shinobi Bitfenix case. On the front side you have USB 2 2x and 2x USB 3. Now let's remove the side panels in order to have better access to the case. Before replacing or inserting the mainboard, be sure to have the I/O placed from the mainboard. And now you have to screw down those 9 screws onto the case, and don't forget to insert those spacers which are between the case and the mainboard. Here it is how it looks like from the behind with the I/O shield. The graphics cards unboxed. This is how it was delivered. A huge graphics card for 2014, and it looks just gorgeous. Now just place it on the first PCI Express connector and be sure that it is clicked in so it can't move. and the power supply unit from Be Quiet. We have here a modular power supply unit, and that means we can just attach the cables we need. So there's a much better cable management possible for your case. Now with 4 screws you can screw it down to the case. Connections on the mainboard is already connected, and now we are taking those cables for the graphics cards, which are 2 times of 6 pins. And now to the DVD-ROM player or DVD rewritable player. You can just remove one of those covers and fix the DVD player with some screws. And then using a SATA cable to connect it to the mainboard. This goes to the mainboard. As you can see here, there are some SATA connections. And of course, power supply to the drives, which are DVD drives or HDD drives. Now to the operating system, it's going to be installed on a Samsung SSD with 250 gigabytes. You have to place it on those brackets in order to connect it in the PC. And you can remove this cover from the bracket. Fix it with some screws. Like on the DVD player, we need here the power connection for the SSD and also the SATA connection to the mainboard. Now this is the connection for the mainboard, so you can start the PC and you have to read your manual how to connect these. And this comes with a pre-installation pin, which makes it easier to place it on JFP1. Now back to the storages. I have installed here 250 gigabytes of SSD for operating system. Then 1 terabyte Seagate for program files and games. Then another 1.5 terabytes from Western Digital Green for storage. Now to overclocking the CPU and the graphics card. We are using for the CPU the MSI Gaming app, and you can use here silent gaming and overclocking mode. In silent mode, the CPU runs with 1.3 GHz. On gaming mode, it turns directly to turbo boost with 4.4 GHz. And you can see here on this MSI Intel Extreme Tuning Utility app that the CPU frequency turned from 1.3 to 4.4 GHz. And in overclocking mode, you can even go to 4.7 GHz. So I'm playing here most likely on gaming mode with 4.4 GHz. It's absolutely okay. This gaming eye sign on the MSI Gaming app also works. You can use here iRest, which is very comfortable for your eyes playing at night. Then there's a gaming mode, a movie mode, and you can of course go on customize and customize the settings on your preferences. But I really like to use here gaming mode. Then let's go on Firestorm, which comes with the Zotac AMP Extreme Core Edition graphics cards. You can also go here on Advanced and change here some settings, especially here on Power. You can set the percentage on 106%. And you can also go on Quick Boost, choose 2D and hit apply, or choose 3D and hit apply and agree. Or you can go even on 3D plus, hit apply. And this is the way I always like to play my games. This automatically overclocks your GPU graphics cards, and it's really great to play games on Ultra with it. On the middle of this display you can see that the graphics card runs on 49 degrees Celsius. While playing games, this was never higher than 75 degrees Celsius. Now let's go ahead and make some stress tests on the CPU for around 10 minutes. And let's see what the result says on CPU temperature, on CPU utilization and frequency. Now we can see here that the CPU temperature goes on 70-75 degrees Celsius. CPU itself runs on 100% and at a frequency of 4.4 GHz. CPU stays cool and the DarkRockPro3 cooler does a very good job. Let's go on benchmarking. Now we can see then the results on maximum processing frequency and CPU temperature. It overclocked itself to 4.5 GHz, which is great, and it runs on 74 degrees Celsius. Benchmarks for the GPU, we run here Heaven DirectX 11. We are going here on advanced and pushing the power limits to 106%, and then we go ahead and run it to Quick Boost 3D Plus, hit apply, and then we can test the graphics card's benchmark. And here are the settings and the scores. GPU temperatures by 55 degrees Celsius, and on 3D Mark, here are our score with 9982. Now let's run some benchmarks on the SSD. First we are going ahead and click on performance optimization. And after we are doing a performance benchmark. And at the end you will see the readings and the write numbers, which looks great. Now let's play some Battlefield 4 on Ultra and enjoy.